Hello everyone, my name is Rolf Tröndle and I welcome you to this Change Cockpit deep dive about Copilot features, agents and control. So today we have the following agenda. We have from 0 to Wave 2, just a quick recap about what happened since Copilot was released originally or even announced. Then my favorite changes, because there are so many changes, I just picked out the favorite changes for unlicensed but also for licensed users. And then I will go deeper into the out-of-the-box agents, all agents which are available out of the box by Microsoft, and we'll show you what they are doing and even a quick demo for each agent. And then we go further into more technical stuff for tenant settings and architecture insights. So first one, from 0 to Wave 2, spring release back in March 2023. So 2.5 years ago, Copilot for Microsoft 365 was originally announced. Then afterwards in May, they released Intelligent Meeting Recap, which was part of Teams Premium. I mentioned this here because today it's a license overlap, and Intelligent Meeting Recap is now, from a marketing perspective, only being talked about when it's with the Copilot license, but not with Teams Premium. But I think it's the first kind of Copilot AI features which was introduced in Microsoft 365. Then at the same time, they launched a Copilot Early Access program to customers who signed up for it or who were allowed to go into this Early Access program. And then later in November, they reached GA, so generally available. You could, or everyone could buy now Copilot for Microsoft 365, but starting in November, it was a 300-seat minimum, so you had to buy at least 300 licenses at once. This was lifted, this 300-seat minimum was lifted in January 2024, and also the dependency on the whole Microsoft 365 license suite. It's now you can even buy it, buy a Copilot license for Business Basic if you like to do so. So then January this was lifted, and then from January till September 2024, they released 700 updates and 150 additional features. Afterwards, they upgraded Wave 2 to Wave 2 Spring Release. This was this year. It was in May, Wave 2 Spring Release. And then in Change Cockpit, we announced from May this year till September another 180 updates regarding Copilot. So that's insane what's going on here, and the pace they are releasing new features and updates. So now we are in September 2025, and because it's so many features, I summarized my top features which were coming out from January till September this year. I divided this into two sections. First one is about unlicensed users, meaning the Copilot base functionality, which is included with Copilot EDP, extended data protection, which is included if you have some sort of Microsoft 365 license. All of you get this feature, even also these users who have a dedicated Copilot license. Okay, first one is the Wave 2 Spring Release update regarding the new UI and navigation pane. So we got this new refresh navigation pane containing search, chat, notebooks. This is a new module called Notebooks. Copilot Notebooks was introduced as well, and then the Create experience. So this is also a favorite for me, because no matter where you access Copilot by now, even if it's Outlook, Teams, or the Copilot dedicated application, which you can install in Windows, you will always see the same UI. So at least it doesn't matter anymore where you access the Copilot experience. Then now rolling out, or should have been rolled out to you already if you have no licenses, the Copilot chat integration in Office applications. Now you might think, wait, we have this for a long time by now. Yes, you have, if you have a Copilot for Microsoft 365 license. Now this feature was additionally rolled out to all users, so all users get this Copilot chat experience in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and OneNote. So you can ask questions about the current document, you can rewrite document, you can have new drafts, you can generate drafts in there directly into your already opened document. So no more copy paste between Copilot or perhaps ChatGPT interfaces, just do it directly from within the Office applications. The only limitation you have no access to other work data, which is grounded in graph. This is only available for Copilot licensed users. Then Outlook will get the summarized email with chat functionality. Yes, I know this screenshot could be a bit misleading because the summary by Copilot button is only available for Copilot licensed users, but it's within Outlook you get the chat experience as just mentioned as well, and with this experience you will be able to summarize email or email thread. So for this to work, yes, you need the Copilot chat must be activated by IT and must be pinned in the navigation. And if this was set up properly, then you can then summarize emails even without the Copilot license. No more copy and paste needed anymore. Then pay as you go for Copilot is a functionality which was released already at the beginning of the year, and with this you as unlicensed users can be set up, so you can use as well Copilot agents. I think especially interesting scenarios are Copilot in SharePoint agents. So the setup is quite easy. Setup work settings, pay-as-you-go services in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. There you link your Copilot infrastructure using an Azure pay-as-you-go service subscription, and then set up billing. You could also have billing policies configured in there, and then everyone in your organization can use, or at least the users you set up to use it, can use Copilot in SharePoint agents without the license, so it will be consumption based. It's pay as you go. Then my top features since January till September, Change Cockpit. I went through all the slides from the Change Cockpit about Copilot and picked them out for the licensed users. Again, the Wave 2 Spring Release, because it's the same, or the refresh navigation pane, you will see no matter where you access Copilot. Then we have the notebooks in OneNote integration. As mentioned, the new experience, the Wave 2 Spring Release experience, the new UI also introduced a functionality called Copilot Notebooks. And now perhaps you ask yourself, wait a minute, where should I work now? Should I work in Word? Should I use Copilot Pages? Should I use Copilot Notebooks, or should I use my OneNote notebooks? No matter if you're using or if you're preferring the OneNote application, if you created a Copilot Notebook, you will get the new section in the upper left corner called Copilot Notebooks. So we integrate the old and the new world in the old application. So that's why it's a favorite change. Then till this change was rolled out here for analyzed content, Copilot had access to the meeting content regarding what is being spoken, so the meeting transcription and also the meeting chat, but it had no idea about the shared content. Now Copilot is available or can access all shared content within the meeting. Let's say you are joining the meeting a bit later, then just tell Copilot to recap the meeting for each screen shared so far, and you will see everything that was shared and even a quick summarization about what was being shared. So that's really a great addition. So Copilot has access to all information during a meeting, no matter if it's chat, if it's spoken, or if it's screen shared. Then we have these audio overviews. This is coming everywhere now, and I really like the idea because I know people don't like to read. And with audio overviews, you can present or generate a presentation about a certain document, which then will be presented using a voice to you. So First release was within OneDrive. Word documents, PDF files, and Teams meetings recordings can be summarized. You just go into, we have this PDF file in this example here, Smart Sneaker Strategy White Paper, click on the Copilot button, generate an audio overview, and this flowing player will now start. You can also switch between the regular mode and podcast mode, and then two virtual person will, using a podcast style, will present the content to you. So this is quite a great addition, especially if you want to summarize documents or meetings during or when you are on the go. Let's say you are traveling, whatever, then you can recap all your missed meetings. Because I like this so much, I have a quick demo for you how it's working and what is the result. And just for fun, I used the use terms from retail. So it's a license use terms for Microsoft 365, normally a document which isn't really nice to read, but let's see what's the outcome regarding if you're using audio overview. So let's share the sound. This is already on, and then let's start the video for you. First, you click on the Copilot button, create audio overview. It will be created. Takes some time.
From the Microsoft license terms, specifically the supplement to the Microsoft Services Agreement for Microsoft 365 Business.
Now we switch to podcast.
Welcome. Today we're diving into the specific terms and conditions for Microsoft 365 Business Standard and Microsoft 365 Apps Small Business Subscriptions. It's one of those things every business user really should understand, right?
Absolutely. Especially since Microsoft's supplement to their main services agreement can seem a bit dense at first glance, but it actually shapes how you and your business use and manage 365 services day to day.
For anyone tuning in, this is all about a document published by Microsoft Corporation, last updated in June 2021, which spells.
So that's it. So now you see this is a possibility to have a license terms document presented to you using audio overview. So then, as mentioned, this is not only possible using documents like PDF and Word, it's also available for Teams meetings if they were recorded using transcripts. Then you have these audio summaries, and it's accessible using the Meet application in Teams desktop, but as well using the Teams mobile application in the recap page. Then another one for Teams Phone. If you transfer a call to another person, then Teams Phone now offers you a summary option. You will get a recap if you enabled or used transcription during the regular PSTN call. Then you will get this summarization, and during the transfer, the transferee will see what you already talked about or what the content was during the phone call before the call was transferred. So this is a really great addition, especially an enhancement to traditional PSTN telephony using the Teams phone system. Then selecting sources in BizChat. BizChat is the business chat. This means when you switch to work mode in Copilot chat, that's called BizChat because it can access your underlying business data. It's graph grounded. So select these sources. These are multiple changes which were rolled out this year till September. It was now possible to select using this Context IQ menu. Context IQ menu to select a source. Let's say you have a graph connector, a Copilot connector set up, let's say to your Jira system, to your ticketing system, to ServiceNow, whatever. You can ask directly, and you can also use SharePoint Online site. You can select individual files and folder from a SharePoint document library, so you know what content is being used as input to your prompt. And that's especially important because it doesn't make sense to ask a question and then every document you have access to will be used to answer the question. Often this is not really a very good answer quality coming out from this, so it's very important that you can narrow down your search selecting the sources in the chat. Then Word got the auto summarization feature, and this was extended using the update called Document Snapshot. It's still being extended now, tab by tab. It gets now many tabs in here, like Summary, Insights, Agent, Discussion, and Coaching tab. So you have more insights about the document, and it will be automatically generated as soon as you open a Word document and you have the Copilot license. You can easily catch up using the Activity tab. You see who did any changes into the Word document in the last 3 days, 1 week, or 2 weeks. So you know what is going on. Let's say if you're the owner of the document, but other people in your org do some co-authoring in there. Then Outlook application, the Outlook app on smartphones gets the priority view soon. This is still rolling out. I haven't seen it myself, unfortunately, but it's an opt-in feature in Outlook settings, Copilot Prioritize. You need to enable it by yourself. And then you have this new button on top of your message list in the inbox. As far as now, it only works in inbox. You click on it, and then you can have Copilot select all high priority messages. It's not about a high priority mark for a priority mail. It's about what should be prioritized based on the content. Okay, so that's it for my favorite features. Let's continue with the next section of this presentation, from prompt to agent or out of the box agent, because we have now 2 worlds. We have the prompt and answer world using Copilot Chat, and we have the agents which are doing something for you or even on behalf of you. Currently, we have available the SharePoint agent, the Facilitator, Interpreter, Project Manager, Researcher agent, Analyst, Skills, Service, and the newest addition, which was just announced, I think around 1 week ago, is the Knowledge Agent in SharePoint. Let's go through all these agents, including demos. Here, the first one, the SharePoint Online Agent. That's basically a chat-based agent which is focusing on specific content. So let's say you have your regulatory documents in a specific file library in a folder in SharePoint Online. You just click on this folder, create an agent, and then everyone who has access to this agent can ask questions about only this content. So if your HR team is sure they only put in there all current documents, no older versions laying around somewhere in a Teams or SharePoint Online folder, doesn't matter anymore. It's only the specific focused content from the sources which are specified inside this SharePoint Online agent. So it's very easy to create and customize the agent. And there are use cases like I mentioned, HR regulations, IT help desk can use all the current documentations, user manuals, and so on in there. So users can ask questions about how do I set up multi-factor authentication on my iOS device, and then they will get the specific document and only the most recent version, because only the most recent version will be put into the source folder of this agent. And another good thing, as also mentioned before, it's usable using pay as you go. So if you have many users who have not yet a Copilot license, they can still use these agents. When you set up pay as you go, then it will be paid by prompt the users are doing, and this is a very good option to use these agents or to have a great adoption of these agents. So let's have a look and let's create such an agent. I'm doing this inside my Change Cockpit Teams website. Inside this SharePoint, this Change Cockpit Teams, I have all Change Cockpit slides and some recordings stored in there. So I would like to have an agent, and with this agent I can ask questions about specific changes which rolled out or which I already announced in Change Cockpit. And so this would make sense to have an agent, SharePoint Online agent in there. So let's have a look. We are in this document library. I then go one level back to documents, click on create an agent. Now this agent will be created on the source content from the whole library, from the whole documents folder. That's fine in my case here. As mentioned before, if you have an HR agent, you probably would choose the documents, even individual documents or on the individual folders. Okay, then let's click on create. This agent is being created. Here it is. It's already done. It will be represented as a .agent file in the SharePoint library. We see it here, change cockpit CHE agent.agent. And now we can ask questions like, tell me more about timer in Teams meetings. Let's get it to work. It's working on my request. Goes through all the slides I used in Change Cockpit and gets some answers for the prompt. Countdown timer in Teams meetings. Yes, this was one change at least. Timer in breakout rooms was another one in August 2021. Okay, and we even get the source documents referenced, and we have the other one from July 2025, the countdown timer in Teams. These were the two changes about timer in Teams meetings. So easy to find, and it's quite easy to have set up this SharePoint engine. Yes, you could customize it further, even using Copilot Studio, but this is the base setup on how to create such a SharePoint online agent. The next one is the Facilitator agent. This is a meeting moderation agent. So this is your virtual assistant during a Teams meeting. It moderates, it does time tracking, it creates real-time notes. So you don't have to ask, who is creating our meeting minutes or meeting notes today? Yeah, your Facilitator agent is doing this now. Then it will identify open tasks which are being discussed during the meeting and even assigns the task to individual persons, and it responds to your goals and agenda. If you had a meeting agenda before you started the meeting, it will now track the meeting agenda for you. Let's have a look at this one. First of all, it needs to be enabled in the meeting options, or you could also enable it afterwards inside the meeting. Let's see the demo. We enabled it during the before in the meeting options, or we turn it on using turn on a facilitator, and now it starts to work. Meeting is running. Now we see facilitator, I'm adding notes, you can edit. Then Addy tells us something halfway through. Now we have a time reminder. We have the decision summary and open questions. I'll add these to the notes after the meeting ends. It does this everything for us. Now we have the meeting notes. It's writing. Yes, we can do co-authoring with the facilitator agent in the meeting notes. Everything fine. Here we did some correction. And we also have the follow-up tasks set up, after which were identified during the meeting and which can now be assigned, because technically the collaborative meeting notes are a loop component. Then the tasks assigned will show up in the to-do application and the planner application in Teams for the individual user. Next one is the interpreter agent. Interpreter, I think, when it's be a bit more mature, it will be a very interesting option to use. It's giving you instant translation of speech during Teams meetings. I'm not talking about transcription, I'm talking about language translation live. It's doing, if preferred, voice simulation. So if someone listens to me using the interpreter agent, then Copilot tries to simulate my voice in the other language. So it tries, I'm using English now. If someone is using the interpreter agent while I'm talking here, then this interpreter agent would try to use my voice to and speak then, let's say, in French or German with my voice. It tries. There are visual indicators, so you will see when someone is using the feature, you will know that someone is interpreting your voice into another language. And the use case is structured meetings where people speak for long periods of time. So I thought, perfect for my Change Cockpit, where I'm talking for 2 hours in a row. And that's where I recorded the demo. And this should then remove language barriers. Someone is speaking Chinese, German, Swiss German, French, no matter. I hear everyone in my language. That's the goal of this agent. So let's have a look at this one. And let's start the demo of this. We'll get an email as soon still as in English published the September edition. So let's go into the monthly change insights call. Now we enable it. 163 turn on for me.
Also zum monatlichen Change
now we have it in German.
Call kommen. Wir haben diesen Monat eine 63 Änderungen zu.
I can then blend in or balance the volume between original audio and interpretation audio, and the lower section is if someone interprets me, then I can choose simulate my voice or automated voice. Now I have chosen simulate my voice. That's why it's trying to use my voice to have the German part.
Und wie immer versuche ich, dass die Live-Version hier so schnell wie möglich fertig wird. Und wie immer versuche ich, die Live-Version und dann die lizenzierte Copilot-Version Purview, Power Platform.
And now, if you understand it, yes, you know, but I'm still on the agenda part of this presentation, and it already switched to the first change.
Wir waren am Ende. Dann haben wir eine Hinzufügung von 7 Änderungen, die auf den wichtigsten Folien stehen. Also sollten Sie sich diese Änderungen nicht entgehen lassen. Oder wenn etwas schief gehen könnte. Beginnen wir also jetzt mit den Teams für diesen Monat. Zuerst weniger
feature. This auto-hide for inactive channels was rolled out.
Ensuite, il y a une mise à jour concernant la fonction de masquage des canaux inactifs. Ce masquage automatique pour les canaux inactifs.
So it's not perfect, but still it's to me it's very impressive, this feature. We'll get okay, next one coming up, Project Manager Agent. Project Manager Agent is the agent which is integrated in Planner. It will create goals into plans, and then it will execute the different Planner tasks, and we'll do the automation and notifications for you. So let's have a basic demonstration here as well. We see here we have the campaign launch planner. That's a project manager enabled planner plan. You need to use Planner Premium for this, and you need to have the Copilot license as for almost every agent here shown. So basically you have your task list, all incomplete tasks in this example, and we will assign these tasks to the Project Manager Agent, and we just move it to the bucket called Assign to Project Manager Agent, and then Project Manager Agent will start to work on this individual task. Let's have a look. Now we have this identify first steps. Everything is empty in the conversation part. I now move it to assign. Now we see working on it. It's already started to work. Same for research target audience. Now it starts, we cut out some time here. And now first one is ready for review, and I see a lot of content created by this Project Manager Agent. I can then further clarify my instructions if needed, or click on regenerate, and it will start and do some more work here. So that's basically, or the one of the functionalities of the Project Manager Agent, which is completing tasks for me, or at least tries to do so. Next one is the Researcher Agent. Researcher is basically a reasoning model from OpenAI behind it. So if you want to do a deep research instead of just having a chat conversation, that's like when you do the reasoning, when you switch, let's say you're using ChatGPT and you're switching from GPT to the reasoning model, like an O model or whatever, then that's basically the same as you're using Researcher Agent, except that this Researcher Agent here also has access to your company data, to your work data. It's personal context with your org data. It generates your structured content and combines research in internal document, but also if enabled as well with web search results. Let's have a look at the researcher agent. First, we go into the researcher agent Copilot chat, build a comprehensive market share analysis for SBB using work and web sources. Now use your best judgment to start the analysis because my input was very unspecific. So it just guesses a lot of things. Doesn't matter. For this demonstration, it's sufficient. Now we see everything was coming out regarding SBB market share analysis. That's Swiss train company, by the way. For those of you who don't know SBB, it's just an example of a public company which is well known. Next one, these were rolled out together. The researcher and the analyst agent. Analyst agent is some, let's say, some kind of research agent, but it's used, or the idea behind it is to use it for data analysis for sales, finance. You can use Excel, CSV, SharePoint Online Lists as input method, as basis, and use AI reasoning and deep reasoning models as well. And if needed, it uses Python code, and it will then create and execute the Python code for you. Here we have another demonstration, and the prompt used is review my year-over-year earnings data and identify patterns in operation cash flows and their impact on long-term investments. Present your insights visually in a graph. Use this file as reference, and then we also added a reference file and then started this analyst agent. Let's start it. It will take 3 to 4 minutes till you get the first results. So the time was sped up here as well. It uses Python to work on it. Yes, I know it's very fast what's happening here, but it's working, and even creates some charts for me, some graphical illustrations based on the results of this analysis of my content. Then we have People Skills Agent. People Skills Agent, this uses now information from existing user activity and then maps it to a taxonomy, so to individual skills assigned to users, and doing this uses a proprietary LLM extraction model. So it will then be integrated in Copilot Chat as the agent, Microsoft 365, especially in the contact card, and Viva. You can search for skills in Teams chat wherever it's needed, and you can also create teams and project groups based on this individual user skills. By default, we have 16,000 plus skills available, and you can manage all your skills in a skills library in Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And as mentioned, it will learn from what you're doing and assign skills to you. If your users don't have a Copilot license, they at least can manually assign skills to using their profile card to themselves based on selectable from your skills catalog from the skills library. Let's have a look at this one. First one, we will start finding colleagues with specific skills. Let's have a look at this. Skill discovery, that's the agent. The agent is called Skill Discovery. We see it also on the upper right corner. Now, how many people do I have with TensorFlow skills? There are 35 employees who may have TensorFlow skills on your team. Here's the breakdown by level, skill level, head count. I can also then go and browse colleagues with skills, with selected specific skills. We see this now here, security skills. And I can also add skills in the profile card, upskilling as an example. Now add my skills, risk analysis to grow my skills. That's called upskilling. And now it will, if I will go and try to do upskilling, I want to learn some more skills, then this can also be integrated with Viva Learning, so I can grow my personal skills over time. Then I have a dashboard in Viva Insights regarding confirmed skills and people, how many people I have and how many total confirmed skills we have in our company. Everything is included with distribution. All our reviews are included in Viva Insights. So it's a combination, it's integration of People Skills Agent, also with already existing Viva tools. It's an extension of these Viva tools, and it will help you then identify also skills in a region or business group. As we can see here, we have a lot of artificial intelligence skills in the engineering department as well as machine learning. So you can also identify not even on the departments, also on the locations of the individual people. So you see we have a lot of these skills in Germany and other skills in France. Perhaps we have to focus a bit more in regarding education of the individual people of skills from the other regions as well. No matter, there are many scenarios or possibilities available using this People Skills Agent. Then we have that's the second newest addition, called the Service Agent. Service Agent is more or less, I would say, it's an agent which uses forms or which operates forms for you. You just ask it to create a simple survey creation. It will then create as well a distribution plan, including channel suggestions, where you should send out using Teams or Outlook to the forms form, monitor of response rate, sending reminders. We will also see I made a response status for the Contoso Desert Tours customer feedback survey. So I made a customer feedback service and it will check in by time. Oh, you received 0 responses so far. Oh, that's quite bad. Send reminders. So it will then send reminders out to the people who didn't respond yet on this survey. So it's better or easier for me, or perhaps increases the response rate. Then we have insights and analytics directly from the Service Agent. It will help me interpret the results or the form's answers. Currently, its availability is in Frontier, so you need to enable Frontier in a Teams Admin Center and assign Frontier features to users. Frontier is like preview, early preview, public preview, something between, and it's an opt-in. So if you like to use this agent, you need to opt in for Frontier to try it out. Let's have a look at this one. We see the service front. There's also the Frontier mentioned within the agent. You see now the service agent is also available in the Copilot chat or in the Copilot application. And starting in there, we can then tell service what our service should be about. Let's have a look. We have create customer feedback survey to measure satisfaction and feedback for my business, including NPS and open-ended suggestions. Now it will draft this feedback survey using forms. This is the forms link. Your survey is ready. It creates me the forms link to share. NPS questions are inside. It tells me what's inside this forms form. And then review launch plan for distribution and management. Now we have review launch plan. It will now set up the distribution strategy for the survey. Day 0 launch, send email using this link. Day 1 early check, midpoint push, final 24 hours. If the goal of 5 responses is not met and so on. So it really helps me. Now I can send out email invitation. I can do it directly from this service agent. I fill this, or this is the forms created behind by service agent inside forms. That's it for the service agent. It operates forms for me and helps me to get people to fill out a survey, as well helps me to get most or everything out of the responses. Now the last one is called Knowledge Agent. The Knowledge Agent is integrated, or is SharePoint Online Knowledge Agent. It's to manage and create metadata in your document libraries. So no more manual metadata creation needed anymore. It will autofill columns based on the content of the files in the document library. It will then help you sort and filter your content based on this metadata. You can automate automations. Makes sense. It's called like automations. It helps you to create these automations in SharePoint Online. Analyze SharePoint Online sites to find outdated sites and content gaps. So you have the content for a project as an example, and then you create the SharePoint Online sites to help people navigate through tell people about what the project is about. And it will help you to create these sites, everything using Copilot. Will find content gaps in your already existing sites and fix, and you can even remove older pages. Then it will always give you context-aware suggestions depending on where inside SharePoint Online you are currently. It will combine the creation of sites with Copilot and sections with AI. I mentioned this so explicitly because creating SharePoint Online pages using Copilot isn't really a new feature. It's just mentioned again during the Knowledge Agent announcements, as well as adding sections using AI was also announced already in the last Change Cockpit, and it's now also included, or this Knowledge Agent will also use this already available functionality. At the moment, this agent is public preview. It's an opt-in features you need to connect using SharePoint Online Management Shell. Then you set SPO tenant with Knowledge Agent scope parameter, and then you can set up the Knowledge Agent either to all sites, then it will be available in all your SharePoint Online sites, or you can just use it on some test sites. Okay, let's have a look at this one. We see here the project, or the team site for this project called Sawa Product Team, and we have lots of unstructured documents. It's an unstructured library. There is no naming defaults in here. I have no idea what about this inside, or what the content is inside these different documents. So I start the Knowledge Agent. It's available here, and I will tell the Knowledge Agent. Here we see again the document library. And now organize this library, please. Now it starts to add columns, and it will fill out all these columns. We see here it will use product, department, material type columns, and will fill this out for document by document. Let me know when new files are added and the product is Sawa Core Fiber. So it will help me set up automations. That's what I mentioned before. When a new file is added, that's also already existing functionality, but can be used directly from the agent. Show me files for Sawa Core Fiber, and now and group it by department. And now it will group it by department for me. So it really helps me organize all these documents inside this unstructured library. Now I have Teams chat. Let me look into it and I'll know. And so this means I can now ask questions in the Knowledge Agent. That's basic the functionality. It's almost the same functionality as I have in the SharePoint, as I have shown to you in the SharePoint Online Agent. So I can ask questions about all the documents stored in here. List all of the Sawa products. List all of the Sawa products, and it will now work on only the content which is served inside this library. Then I go to the site, click on Improve this site. I could retire inactive pages, find gaps or fix broken links. I click on retire because it's an old, it identified this site as very old. Now I click on find content gaps. It will scan the sites based on the current documents and sees if there is something missing. I also get some suggestions. Now it recommended action is to create a new page. Let's go create this page using Copilot, create with AI. I decide now to create a news post instead of a page. Newsletter page for our core fiber. Sorry, a newsletter page on the news post. Use a document as input, and now we get this new page. I can add a section using AI because one section is missing. I added an FAQ. The FAQ have suggestions. I select one, post and send, and now I have this new newsletter website. Everything created using Copilot, all content already available and here. So that's basically the Knowledge Manager agent. I would say the main improvement of this agent is the ability to structure unstructured files, meaning giving them or automating metadata columns so you can continue to work using these columns. All the other functionality shown is already available using other means with Copilot. Okay, some challenges we had, or we identified just only some challenges, or the most important ones perhaps, we identified during our Copilot teachings and adoptions. First of all, the first big one is Copilot can use all data to which a user has access in the tenant by default when you don't specify which document you use. We have then oversharing problems, which can also be solved using SharePoint Online Advanced Management. That's another deep dive available if you would like to have a look at it. Then using governance concepts and crap in equals crap out. That's why we need to see which sites we perhaps should also exclude from Copilot because it's only old and stale data in there. Prompting for user adoption. Prompting is some kind of new way of thinking. You have to get used to it actually, but there's also some discussion about this because everyone says always you can use natural language, so why should I learn prompting when I can use natural language like I learned to talk? Yes, you could so, but sometimes it's more efficient to use or to have a bit or at least some prompting basic know-how. Then regarding adoption, how can Copilot be used inside your company? Used to boost your productivity, so to work with specific and start with specific scenarios using during adoption. Okay, this was part one. We have seen the favorite or my favorite changes of Copilot. We have seen a bit of history of Copilot, and we have seen all agents in action, at least a quick overview and a quick demo for every agent. Now let's continue with the second part about tenant and settings deep dive. We will go through architecture of Copilot, web search, licensing, and pay-to-go. I mentioned a lot of it already. Copilot control system, self-service purchase options, agent control, governance, apps, admin center, what you can do in there, audit and restrict Copilot if you need to restrict for oversharing problems. First one, Copilot architecture. We see here a basic scheme of Copilot. Let's have a look at it a bit more in detail. First one, we have the Copilot. The user sends a prompt to the Copilot engine itself. Then Copilot, that's how Copilot works behind the scenes. Then Copilot will do and go access graph, Microsoft Graph, and optional if enabled web. We see here the dotted line is the Microsoft 365 service boundary and especially your tenant boundary. So Microsoft always says, and it's guaranteed, that nothing leaves your tenant except for some anonymized prompts if you're using web search inclusions. It's not the original prompt which will be submitted to Bing as an example. It's anonymized and another version of the prompt. We will also see such a prompt later during our audit investigation. Okay, Copilot then accesses this graph and, as mentioned, the web and other services for grounding like Dataverse and Power Platform services. Then it will modify the prompt and send the prompt to the large language model. That's basically the GPT. By default, it's still GPT-4. And now we can also opt in for GPT-5, which is also included in there. Behind this are Azure OpenAI services. Copilot then gets the LLM response back. That's number 4. And then we'll access graph again for compliance and purview, because everything must be traceable and auditable, what users are doing with Copilot and how they work, and then users get also the results back afterwards. That's some basic flow, how Copilot works within your tenant, and it's your instance in there for Copilot, and it uses your graph if you are having a Copilot for Microsoft 365 license. Then we see here some Copilot, or at least the difference between the architecture if you have a Microsoft 365 Copilot license and Copilot chat service architecture. Basically, we have now all apps as well available, even if we have no license. So the Copilot chat integration was already, I mentioned before, is one of my favorite features. Then we access, or user accesses, Microsoft 365 Copilot, and as mentioned before, if you have a license, then the graph will be asked for content, even other systems, and all user accessible data will be used, like Exchange mailboxes, OneDrive, Teams data, and SharePoint files, and still within the Microsoft 365 protected service boundary. And if needed, Bing is still in the Microsoft global network, but not anymore in your Microsoft 365 tenant boundary. And now the difference between the licensed and the unlicensed part just bypasses graph, because graph is your whole search index, and non-licensed users don't have access to your work content. That's why they bypass the graph part. They still have access if enabled. By default, it's enabled in a tenant, the Bing services, and they only have the web tab and not the work tab. So that's what's going on within the web tab. And then the scope of interaction can still be set, but is limited to uploading a certain document, even from your Drive or from OneDrive services. So it does not have access to all your OneDrive files at once, but it has access to a specific mentioned OneDrive file when you add it to a prompt. So that's the big difference. It has no access in general to your work data, just to some specific given information. Then the based or the available or the supported storage locations for Copilot licensed users. I often get the questions, are shared mailboxes supported? No, sorry, shared mailboxes are not supported. So user mailboxes in Exchange Online are totally supported, but no delegated shared archive mailboxes, and also no archived SharePoint data. With archived SharePoint data, I'm talking about Microsoft 365 archiving, where you can archive individual SharePoint sites, and hopefully very soon also SharePoint files or individual files within a given site. Then we have Word documents, which are supported, PowerPoint, PDF, web pages, and OneNote files, and also content from Viva services and so on. Copilot connector data, this is on a tenant level support, so you can extend your whole graph connector data, or your whole graph data, your search index, using Copilot connectors. The older name for this are search connectors. So it's just a renaming. The basic functionality is available for a long time, but it's a very important one when using Copilot. You can gain access to other systems in your environment, like a ticketing system, then you can ask specific questions about the solution. If you have a specific problem, perhaps if you already solved it and you documented it correctly in your IT ticketing system, then you will find your answer quite fast. Again, some points about the web search part. Web content, as mentioned, can be searched with Bing. This is outside your compliance boundary, but the generate Bing search query, as mentioned, is rebuilt and is anonymized. There is nothing Bing can see about user ID, about tenant ID, and so on. Prompts and responses are still stored in the data boundary and will never leave it. That's very important to know. And web search queries are also logged and can be checked in Purview audit and as well eDiscovery. The record type in audit is Copilot interaction. We will have a look at such an audit entry later. Then queries sent to Bing will not affect and will not be used for search rankings within Bing service and are only used for the response. There will be no profiling done, no sharing with any advertisers, and no Bing improvement. So it's really the only purpose is to get out the answer and nothing more. If you want to control web search, by default, it's enabled in a tenant. In the meantime, I think at the beginning of this year, it was still opt-in. Later, it was turned on by default. We have some controls. Work users can control it by themselves, so user level controlment, that's for work users, meaning for Copilot licensed users inside the work chat. Then you will have in the three-dot menu in the upper right corner, you will have the web search toggle to enable or disable web search. Then we have the controls in Microsoft 365 Apps Admin Center in config.office.com URL. If you create a policy there, you will be able to find allow web search in Copilot configuration, and this allow web search in Copilot can be enabled in Copilot and Copilot Chat, disabled in Copilot, Copilot Chat, and disabled in Copilot work mode, but enabled in Copilot Chat. This setting would then mean for your licensed users that they cannot combine a work and a web search query. They only can use web search within the Copilot Chat, meaning in the web tab and not in the work tab. Okay, then just some basic points about licensing. Copilot is licensed. Either you have the Copilot license for the users without the license, you don't see any license anymore. Before we could turn on or off by users by using the Copilot license. That's not possible anymore. And we have for Copilot licensed users, we have the Microsoft 365 Copilot license, and this has several individual service options. So like the Studio Graph Connectors Intelligent Search, you can turn on or off individual services for these licensed users. Copilot for SharePoint, be aware if you disable Copilot for SharePoint, it will also be turned off in OneDrive because OneDrive is still part of SharePoint. Copilot Teams, productivity apps, Graph Grounded Chat, Viva Insights. Viva Insights in the meantime is part or is be given to you for free if you have a Copilot license. This was that's a recent addition, so you get Viva Insights as well for free, and as well you get on the tenant level if you have at least one license of Microsoft 365 Copilot. You also have SharePoint Online Advanced Management for all your users, and there are also some Power Platform connectors switchable. It's in the meantime, I mentioned it at the very beginning, at the start, Copilot license was only available as an add-on to Microsoft 365 plans. This is not true anymore. This was lifted a long time ago. We have now Microsoft 365. It's now as an add-on license available for Microsoft 365 plans Office 365 plans, Teams, Exchange plans, even when you have only one SharePoint, or if you have only one Exchange Online plan one, then you can still have a Copilot license as an add-on to this. So you basically, virtually for every license, you can have the Copilot license as an add-on now. Okay, then we also, if you decide not so that not all users need to have a Copilot license, or you are in the adoption phase, then you start with some licenses, but probably you don't buy license for everyone in the company right at the beginning. Then you still have the option to use pay-as-you-go for Copilot chat agents and SharePoint Online agents, so the non-licensed users can use it as pay-as-you-go. By messages, it will be then calculated by messages, and it will incur costs in your Azure connected Azure subscription. Inside Microsoft 365 Admin Center, if you go to Copilot Billing and Usage, you will find billing policies and pay-as-you-go services. First, you need to go to pay-as-you-go services and connect your Azure subscription and a resource group to either Copilot Chat or SharePoint Agents, and you can also have billing policies. Billing policies are only usable to give you warning if a certain limit is reached. It will not turn off then the services for this particular users. It's only about warnings at the moment. Then we have the Copilot control system. Microsoft always talks about the Copilot control system. This is a settings, or let's say a collection of links in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. You will find it in Copilot and then in settings, and we have several tabs called user access, data access, Copilot actions, and other settings. What's very important in here is many of these settings aren't really settings. It's it's a link to a short link to another admin interface where you can control then the particular feature. So everything is brought together in here. So if you need to configure something, then you will probably or hopefully find it in one of these tabs. I mentioned Copilot Frontier for the Frontier releases, Frontier agents. This can be turned on here. Then we have Copilot settings for Bing, Edge, and Windows, and Copilot in Edge itself. So one is for the chat sessions and accessing Bing, and the other one is just Copilot in Edge. So controlling Copilot within Edge, then it will open the Edge control panel. Copilot Viva Engage, Glint, so all the Viva tools can be found in here as well. Pay-as-you-go billing, as mentioned before, this will then redirect you to the billing and usage page if you click on this link. Copilot in Admin Centers, yes, Copilot is in the meantime also available for Microsoft 365 Admin Center and as well in SharePoint Online Admin Center. You can control self-service purchases. That's interesting because the new Copilot experience for non-licensed users will allow them to start a self-service purchase, so they can use their credit card to buy the Copilot license. If you don't like this idea, you can turn it off in here. Copilot for security if used, and then you can also pin the Microsoft 365 Copilot app to the Windows taskbar. This only works if the device is Intune enrolled. And pin Microsoft 365 Copilot chat, that's within the Copilot applications. This is also needed if you want to use Copilot in Word without the license, as an example. So that's just a quick summarization of all the settings in the user access tab. As mentioned, there are other tabs like data access, Copilot actions, and other settings. Then we have the self-service purchase setting. This can also be found either as if you use the self-service purchase option in here. The self-service purchase link will then guide you or will then redirect you to the org settings, Microsoft 365 Copilot, and here you can say, okay, you can allow trials only or do not allow self-service trials and purchases for Microsoft 365 Copilot. It's controllable in here. I know many tenants are controlling this setting, so that's why I mentioned it here more specific. Then we have recommendations for Copilot licensing. That can also be found in Copilot settings, and now in the data access tab, it's called recommendations for Microsoft 365 Copilot license, but that's only visible to admins. So that's also stated only users assigned with an administrative role that has permission to manage user licenses, like a license administrator or user administrator, will see these recommendations. You can turn on or off these recommendations. So then Copilot will tell you, hey, this user, I think this user would be a great idea to give this user a Copilot license because they will get a lot out of it or whatever. So, okay, it will then tell you. So I think you can turn it on and see what happens because only admins will see these recommendations and not users. Then we have the Copilot Agent control, which is also quite important. It will control at the moment who can access Copilot Agents. This is also equals use and create. So if you turn this to all users who can access agents, all users can access agents. If you don't have a license, you can at least access the agents and use these agents if you set up pay-as-you-go billing. But if you don't have a license, you can still create your own agent with stuff in it which you can still access. So it's not only who can access, it's also who can create. We cannot control at the moment this individually. I'm sorry for this, but it's not available yet. And then what's coming, this was just announced in the September Change Cockpit, so it should be rolled out hopefully soon as well. In here will be an option of who can share agents. So it's then at least it's not that the problem anymore if everyone can create agents. If they cannot share it within the company, it's okay because it's then their own personal agent and they cannot share it. This will be an additional switch in here. And as mentioned, also applies to users without the license. And which agents, Microsoft, third party and own, this can be controlled here as well. Then org-wide sharing of user-built Copilot Agent. I just mentioned it. It will be rolled out second half of September inside the screen. So you can then also define who will be able to share Copilot agents within the organization. Then we have the Copilot Agent control within Microsoft 365 Admin Center in Agents. Control of all individual agents. You can deploy individual agents. It's also for third parties, not only for Microsoft. So it's basically the whole catalog you also have in the Copilot in the Teams apps. Which you can in Teams, you can add apps, but in there you will also find Copilot agents, and here you can control which ones can be used, or you can even distribute agents in there. Then SharePoint Online Agents. I have shown you what they can do, but now perhaps you want to know, do our users use these agents? You can now either you can view, you can go to the agents and find individual agent files. Then you know this is a SharePoint Online Agent. And if you click on the details, we'll see the file statistics, and a view count is the same as open and render of the file or chat, meaning we have here 2 viewers, 3 views. So this agent was used 3 times. At least I know when I know that this agent exists, and I will find the respective agent file, then it will be visible if and how many times it was used. But anyway, you can also have through the whole tenant, you can create a new report using Start SPO Copilot Agents Insights report using SharePoint Online Management Shell, and then report period in days, for example, for the last 14 days, and this will run for up to 1 day. And afterwards, you can export the report with Get SPO Copilot Agent Insights report with the report ID, action download, and then it will download the CSV file. But ensure you see in which directory it will be downloaded into the same directory where you have been in PowerShell when you entered Start SPO Copilot Agent Insights report. That's quite an interesting to know. So perhaps just memorize where you started, where you entered the start PowerShell command, because when you get with action download, then it will be downloaded in the same directory. Okay, then we have the Apps Admin Center as further options to control the whole Copilot stuff on the client side. You will have 4 policies. If you go to config.office.com policy management, you can then select pin the Copilot chat, and that's especially an important one. It's only valid for unlicensed Copilot users, because licensed Copilot users always have the Copilot chat pinned in all UI experiences, and here you can choose that Copilot license, that the Copilot chat will be pinned in the Copilot applications for unlicensed users as well. Then allow web search in Copilot. That's the other configuration I mentioned before. Create and view Copilot pages and notebooks. If you don't use Loop within your organization, then perhaps you want to disable Copilot Pages, because Copilot Pages is a Loop component. And multiple account access to Copilot work documents. That's another change which was rolled out some month ago. If you have a license in one for one work ID, but you connected several work IDs into your Office application, you can use your Copilot features for other documents. You cannot browse documents or ask questions about documents in the tenants where you don't have the license, but you can use the license from one tenant to work on the document in which is opened in, let's say, in a SharePoint online site in another tenant. That's multiple account access. Then we have some audits, as mentioned before. I will show you for web search. As first one, we are in the work tab. I asked, what's the weather today? So Copilot knows that I'm in Lenzburg, Aargau, Switzerland, and uses the weather channel and AccuWeather to ask or to answer my question. Then the web search issue, that's the first hint here when I go to this eye symbol, weather today in Rolf Tröndle's location. Actually, it's not the real prompt used against Bing afterwards. As mentioned before, it's anonymized. And let's have a look at this one. We will go to audit. Audit in Purview portal. We go to the audit solution and we will do a search query for Copilot interaction as action. And here we will find this search query. We have the details, workload is Copilot, user ID, and we will see it's a Bing web search which was done. And the action was read, and now we see the site URL which was used. So because it's truncated here, here's the whole URL. Read site URL is weather.com, weather today, Lenzburg, Aargau, Switzerland, but it's no mentioned about my username. Here we have one part of the username in the Windy app, weather forecast, Rolf plus Pond, but it's at least as much anonymized. It's only my first name, nothing else. So these 3 URLs were prompted in the Bing service and were used to answer my query, and everything is documented within the audit log in Purview Admin Center. Then another one, just as an example, if I'm doing a Copilot interaction to files perhaps on my OneDrive, then I will see these here as well. I see, okay, Copilot accessed statistiken.xlsx in IC-my. This means in my OneDrive, and the full path would be shown here as well. So I see to which places and which documents Copilot accessed when it was prompted to answer some specific questions. Then regarding audit, we also have some more Purview implementations. So first one, Copilot usage data and tools. We have Purview audit with information including sensitivity labels. So even sensitivity labels will be shown, and how Copilot uses it will be shown in Purview audit. Then we have the eDiscovery solutions from Purview, which is also connected to Copilot. In there you can search for keywords and also for responses and prompts, because every prompt and everything will be stored in the chat history. I will show you the next slide where it will be stored. Then we have communication compliance as another Purview solution. It's for E5 or E5 compliance licenses. Then this will flag inappropriate prompts and responses, because if you have communication compliance policies to flag certain things, this counts to as well to regular user chats, but you can also use it for Copilot prompting in there to ensure that the only good prompts are used, let's say. Then we have retention. The retention policy also apply to all these artifacts and all these icons as shown here. We have, for example, the Copilot chat files folder, which also preservation or the retention policies also apply to this specific folder. And we also have the easier deletion aside from Exchange mailboxes, as well as OneDrive and SharePoint data, which was also announced during the last month or 2 or 3 months ago. So you can expedite the deletion of such things if needed. So then regarding the storage locations for Copilot things on the user side, first of all, we have the My Files in the OneDrive. In My Files, you will find Microsoft Copilot chat files. If you added some or uploaded some files from your drives to the Copilot prompt, especially for users with, doesn't matter actually, with or without the license. If you added a document, let's say from your download folders, it will be uploaded to the Copilot chat files in your OneDrive. And as mentioned before, if you have retention policy, this will apply here as well. And if you did some Copilot chats are basically Teams chat, and this is why it will be stored in your mailbox. Inside, we see here the folder called Teams message data. And in this Teams message data, we will find all chats, not only Microsoft 365 Copilot, but we see here from chat is Microsoft 365 chat, and the content in there is all the chat content for each chat. So everything is stored inside your compliance boundary, meaning inside, even inside your OneDrive and SharePoint, because inside Microsoft 365 basically, yes, there are some exceptions, I know, but basically we have 2 storage locations. This is SharePoint, and this is user mailboxes. So as well with SharePoint as well, OneDrive. And perhaps just as a side note, if you publish a SharePoint Online agent, it will be moved from the current folder. This agent file will be moved to the site resources folder inside the Teams site. If you need or have the need to restrict Copilot from certain sensitivity labeling processing, let's say you have highly confidential documents, then you often is the requirement that Copilot must not use content from such high sensitive documents. You have now 2 options to exclude these files. One is a DLP policy. This is called restrict Copilot from accessing certain sensitivity labels. Here you will have inside DLP, you create a DLP rule and scope it to sensitivity labels, and you can then choose your sensitivity labels. I have 2 chosen here. 2. One is highly confidential, the other one is for my eyes only. And then the action is called restrict Copilot from processing content. This restricts Copilot. It won't work against documents which are highly sensitive. This is also very important, because if you're using Project Manager Agent, then Project Manager Agent now has access to all documents within this document library, and also to sensitivity labeled documents. If you have a highly sensitivity document, and it will use this document as input to work on a certain planner task, then the output will not have a sensitivity label applied, because this planner task cannot have a sensitivity label applied to it. So this could be that this information will be taken out from Copilot, from the sensitivity label document, and then placed into a non-protected area like a planner task. That's why it's very important to restrict Copilot from such things. The other possibility is on a label basis. Just use PowerShell with set label and with an advanced setting called block content analysis services equals true. Then the user experience will be as follows. For the auto summarization feature, when I open a highly confidential document in Word, then Copilot will show me this banner. Your organization doesn't allow access to Copilot in this document, so that's it, it's excluded. And if I ask Copilot, please top secret docx summary, I want to have a summary of this document, then Copilot will tell me, according to your organization security policy, I'm unable to provide more information or a summary of this document, so it cannot work. So that's the desired goal of my highly confidential labeled files. Perhaps you have also the need to restrict Copilot from whole SharePoint Online sites. Let's say you know some sites which have very, very outdated documents, perhaps an archive site which is not in the Microsoft 365 archive, but it's called an archive. You put in all from your SharePoint Online, from your file server migration, you put in all data just as a reference in an archive, Teams or whatever. Then you can now go into the SharePoint Admin Center, and in there you will find inside the team site settings, there is an option called Restrict Content from Microsoft 365 Copilot. And then Copilot, if you turn this on, Copilot cannot process content from this site contents and document libraries anymore. So it will be hidden from if your work users use a general query about all documents they have access to, this will not be included anymore inside. It's the Pro label. Yes, it's because we need a SharePoint Online Advanced Management license for this. But as mentioned before, you will get SharePoint Online Advanced Management for the whole tenant as soon as you have at least one Microsoft 365 Copilot license inside your tenant. So that's it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. You will also find me on LinkedIn. Please add me if you liked this presentation. And as mentioned, if you have any questions, just contact me to rolf@changecockpit.ch. I hope you learned something from this presentation for your everyday use, and see you in the next deep dive or even Change Cockpit. Thanks and goodbye.